Have you heard of TrumpRx? This is the new solution by our federal government to help lower prescription drug prices. So the question is, will it help or will it hurt? And I'm going to make the case today that for many people, especially those watching this show, it's actually going to hurt if you use it. Speaking of hurt, let me bring in my co-host.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are from the government. I'm here to help.
Welcome to the show, Tony. Our friend Ronnie Reagan there saying the 9 most terrifying words in the English language. I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I actually do for the most part, especially when he's talking about the IRS or a lot of the agencies. They do more harm than good sometimes. That's for sure. I love Ronald Reagan quotes. They're fantastic. And we were talking before the show. He was one of like 3 or 4 presidents that I respect as a good speaker. We've had some really bad presidents that are not good speakers. In fact, most of them. But yeah, I mean, he was great as far as a speaker goes, whether you agree with his politics or not. There's so much to love about Ronald Reagan. That quote is one. I don't know if one of his writers wrote it or he said that, but it was great. And I love that. That clip is like, I think the government must be using AI now because...
No, that was a remix of some song that I heard that's anti-government. But yeah, let's talk about whether or not this is going to fall in Ronald Reagan's territory of TrumpRx. Have you heard about TrumpRx, Tony? Have you?
You know what? I have not. I mean, I heard like, oh, Trump, there's this thing called TrumpRx or TrumpRx. I did not dig further. I've been fairly slammed lately. I've been doing nine appointments and recordings a day lately. So
popular by demand. Well, here's the website, Tony. It's TrumpRx.gov. Find the world's lowest prices on prescription drugs. So this is the new program. Mm-hmm. I saw Dr. Oz touting it on TV today.
Oh no! Why is there a picture of cat food on that image? I don't understand.
You see it? Right? If you scroll, you can browse the drugs that are included in here.
Okay.
Wegovy pill, pens, and Ozempic, and all sorts of stuff. Zepbound and
wait, go back up to Ozempic. What are we talking about for a price on there?
Ozempic pen starting at $199 for a pen. They're suggesting the retail price is normally $1,027. So this is a 66 to 81% off.
Wow,
to
that's
get
great.
The pen on Wegovy or Ozempic. Yeah, so there is a slew of drugs that are listed on this new website, and I want to talk about whether or not this is something that is going to actually help or hurt. And the thing is, Tony, what you have to realize is this is not a website where you go and buy the drugs. This is not a pharmacy.
So you can't click on that and buy it?
No, if you click on it, it'll take you to the place where the manufacturer of that drug has committed to some sort of discount price. It might be a coupon that you print out, and you still need a prescription. You bring it to your pharmacist, and the idea is, hey, I want to fill this drug. I went to TrumpRx.gov and I got this price, so fill it at this price. And in theory, because it hasn't happened yet, but in theory, the pharmacist will fill it at that price outside of your insurance. And that's important to note.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's like, because with my insurance, I'll be honest, I'm on Ozempic because I'm diabetic and have been for a while. And I pay about $25 for each pen.
And it's covered through your insurance.
But the insurance is covering the rest because I have diabetes. Yeah, and have for a while.
So this is a perfect example, real world example here, Tony. Someone like you would not benefit from TrumpRx.
No.
But someone that's on one of these drugs listed that is not covered through their insurer, their prescription drug plan, they might benefit from this. Because let's talk about what's happened in the past. I have a lot of clients. I own an insurance agency, Dolphin Insurance. So I know this stuff. I've been doing it for years.
Right.
And I focus on retirement. So a lot of my clients are on Medicare. But either way, they're on some sort of health insurance that has a prescription drug. There's a formulary, right? And a lot of the people that come to me with the issues with this drug pricing, their drug is not in the formulary. They'll come to me and say, I'm on this drug for this condition. Help me find a Medicare plan that covers it. And there may not be any that cover it. It's new, or for whatever reason, it's not covered by Medicare or their prescription drug plan for under 65. And what do? In the past, what have they done? They've originally, back when I really first started, they'd go to Canadian Drugs and they'd fill it from Canada.
Yep.
And they were, remember I don't know if you had them in Minnesota, but they were Canadian drug storefronts. Canadian RX people would go, well, in Florida, they would, and they would fill their drug using their their prescription, and then the drugs would come sourced from Canada. Well, the government, especially Trump, doesn't like this. Say, why? And most Americans will say, why are we paying high prices for drugs that are even manufactured in the U.S. when people right across the border are paying less? How make that make sense for me?
Right.
So,
that's a huge problem and one that we should be questioning.
Right. So enter TrumpRx, which basically forces the companies to discount it for U.S. citizens through some sort of negotiation.
Sure.
But what are we really doing here? We're only helping those people that will get the drugs outside of their insurance, or for people that don't have insurance. So people that don't have insurance might benefit from this if they're on that and be like, oh, okay, I can finally get that drug at a reasonable price.
Right.
But for most people, this isn't going to help. And I want to explain why. And not just because I can get it cheaper through insurance. I have a lot of clients that come to me and say, this drug just changed. It's now a higher tier, tiers, different tier levels. The higher the tier, the more expensive the drug is. This is a specialty drug. It's covered by my insurance, but it's costing me $300 a fill. I use GoodRx or now TrumpRx. I can get that drug for, instead of $300, I can get it for $100. Tell me, Dan, why I wouldn't do that. Here's the problem, Tony. The big red flag. And I think people are going to realize this, and then they're going to stay away from using this. If their drug is covered by their prescription plan, it'll count when they fill it through their insurance toward their deductible and their max out of pocket. So the max out of pocket for Medicare is $2,100, I think, for the year for 2026.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll tell you, Tony. All right. Let's imagine now you're on something that's not covered, or let's talk about something that's covered by your plan that you're on. For a lot of people, it's cholesterol or hypertension drugs, right?
Right.
And you come to me and say, hey, Dan, my Medicare plan, I have to pay $50 to refill my cholesterol drug every month. But if I go on TrumpRx or I use GoodRx or something like this and go outside of my insurance, I can get it for $12. Why should I pay the extra $38 a month when I can go and get that drug elsewhere, not on my insurance? I say, okay, well, let's do the math. What other drugs you want? Well, I'm on this, this, and this. And okay, let's start adding it up. Because if you go outside of your insurance, it doesn't count to your max out of pocket. Okay, well, I'm saving money every month. Yeah, but what if you now don't meet your max out of pocket because the drug that you were using that went toward it is no longer going toward your max out of pocket? So you fill that drug, and instead of meeting your max out of pocket in July, and you spent $2,100 on drugs, now you're not meeting your max out of pocket. Because what happens when you meet, do you know what happens, Tony, when you meet your max out of pocket for drugs on a Medicare
They
plan?
cover 100%, right? Or no?
Exactly. Yes.
Most
The insurance
plans.
company.
The
Yeah.
insurance company covers all of it after max out of pocket.
After you've done that.
You're right.
So if you're going to meet the max out of pocket at some point, why
Which
not
not
put
everybody
everything
will,
on the
though.
plan?
Yeah.
Correct.
So if somebody
Right.
has 2 drugs and they save a lot of money, but they never hit their max out of pocket anyway, then TrumpRx is a good thing for them. Or if they don't have insurance. But now everybody really, I mean, I was thinking about the people who leave their employment to retire, people who retire early. You mentioned
Yes.
Medicare, but what if you're not on Medicare? What if you
Right.
retire? I just read that the average retirement age right now is 62.
That's about right. 61,
that's
62. Yeah.
that's and I was surprised. I thought people were waiting longer, but it's 62. And then if people retire at 61, 62, they no longer have their employer sponsored plan, which their employer covered probably half of it. So they're going to have to go out and get insurance. Probably most of us would, and you really
Right.
need health insurance, right? But if they didn't have insurance, then this TrumpRx helps, but they're going to have insurance anyway. And unless they're on a lot of drugs, which a lot of people by the time they hit their 60s are on, I take 4 pills a day. So there's a good chance I hit my out of pocket, but I would have to do the math. For me, I think it would be a real close one. But we would have to see. I mean, for me, Ozempic's the most expensive and I'm only paying $24, $25. So
right. Because you have good coverage through your insurer.
Through
but
my
some
employer.
people don't have that. Right.
Yeah. If I leave my employer, I won't have as good of coverage because I won't be able to afford as good a coverage because my employer won't be paying half of it. And therefore therein lies the rub. That's where maybe it comes in handy.
Maybe.
But your
the problem
math
is I looked at the drugs and they're not a lot of the basics that everyone are taking. Or there's not a huge list.
or
right, but those are cheap anyway, even without
true.
insurance.
Yeah.
So it's the specialty drugs that are new that aren't on this list,
or
that
cancer
don't help
drugs
people.
that are thousands of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this is, and I looked, I don't know a lot of these drugs. Surprisingly, I know a lot of drugs and how to spell them over the years. You just figure this stuff out.
Sure. If
The
you're looking at
Medicare.gov
medical,
site's gotten a lot better. You start typing it in and it knows what you do,
Yeah.
But some of these names, wow.
My parents are on
real quick.
Parkinson's drugs, and those are outrageously expensive. And if they don't have a good RX plan, it can be it's expensive with a good plan.
Right. And so they're probably hitting their max out of pocket.
Yeah, but
Medicare.
are those drugs? I doubt that Parkinson's drug is on that TrumpRx. I don't know for sure.
Well, that's just it. They're saying they're going to add more, so maybe it will be. But even then, it's going to be, well, how much are you saving? Well, instead of spending $1,000 in January, I only had to spend $250 through TrumpRx. Yeah, but you're missing the point. You're spending $250 all the way through. You're going to be above your max out of pocket. You would have been better. Yeah, I know cash flow can be tight, but they also changed the rules where you could spread your total cost of drugs on Medicare throughout the entire year. So sometimes it makes sense to pay more upfront, meet your out of pocket max, and then ride the rest of the year for free, meaning it's all covered. And so the same goes for the Affordable Care Act plans. There's a max out of pocket for drugs. So you have to do the math for there. But I'm thinking, based on my looking at it real quick, a lot of the drugs are fertility drugs and weight loss. So I think it's not necessarily going to affect a lot of people. And I think most people should use their plan still, but there is going to be people that don't have insurance or it isn't covered. This might come in handy. But all they're really doing, if you think about it, Tony, it's not groundbreaking. All they're doing is pre-negotiating the rates. Right now, if you're on a drug that's not covered by insurance, you got to call the manufacturer and work on a manufacturer's rebate. They all have their paperwork and plans. All TrumpRx is doing is making that a little easier for people. All right, this is the established thing. It's also, I think, a virtual signal for the prescription drug companies, because they could say, "Oh, look, we're part of the plan. We're offering this drug at a real, cheap price." When they're not really. It's just they're offering the same price that they're offering other countries. They're still making money on it, and that's fine. I
Sure.
don't begrudge them for it, but I don't know. I don't see this as really as exciting as the government's going to tout it. So I'm
Right.
sticking with my
Right.
guns, and I'm going to say this is a Ronnie Reagan experience for us as a country. There are going to be people that it would benefit greatly to use TrumpRx, but they hate President Trump so much they won't use it. There's going to be those people. Then there's going to be people that love him so much they're going to use it, even though it hurts them financially. I'm warning, don't do it. Do the math. So in the end, though, Tony, I'm saying it should help some people that aren't covered or the drugs aren't covered, but for most, I think it's a big nothing burger.
Well, I'm glad I know that you're ranting a little against it. I still think it's worth it for those who can't afford or aren't on insurance. We've had a real crisis in this country because that is we do have people that aren't on insurance that should be, and it's weird because it's a lot of people in their 20s who do a lot of gig economy jobs, and they just think, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need insurance, but they have diabetes and they need insulin, and we've had people die in this country because they couldn't afford insulin. Now the government already, thank God, negotiated and got that, because it was crazy for a while. Remember that guy who sold the pens, bought the company that made the pens and made them thousands of dollars or whatever. He's in jail, I think. He's in jail or still being chased by angry mobs. But yeah. So the thing is I really agree with you. I think a lot of people aren't going to think of that. I would have never thought, oh, wait, my out of pocket. That is, Dan, this is why people watch your show, is because you got to do that. It comes back with Dan. You always say, you got to do, what if you do the math? In the long run, you're going to save a lot more money in many cases. But I do like TrumpRx for the fact that for those people who really need, and this is the question, is the needed medication up there yet? Is this really going to work? Are all pharmacies mandated to take it? Or can a pharmacy say, we don't accept that because they're going to, my son works for a pharmacy, the corporate headquarters, and he does auditing. And he said, because of the way insurance is set up now and a lot of the drugs and the negotiated drugs, pharmacies it's hard for them to make profits, honestly.
Yeah, right. And so, what if they get the drug from the manufacturer more expensive than they're forced now to give it through TrumpRx?
That's already that's happening.
I don't know if
that's actually happening right now, Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's gonna. I think the pharmacy are gonna push back on this, and I don't know if it's mandated. I don't know if the pharmacy has to use this. I don't know. We'll see, because it's so new. Yeah. But I'm telling people, use caution.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. Don't make a decision based on the government's political stance. Look at it from a math perspective and make the decision based on your math needs.
Right. Don't let the fact
that forget about the max out of pocket. That's the big warning.
Yeah, that is. And I want to say to people, whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, don't let Trump's name as part of it make you've got to look at, how does this help people? How does this help me? Whether Trump's name is on it or, whether it was called Clinton RX or Trump RX or Biden RX or Trump RX, that doesn't matter. Get the politics out of it. I'm glad you said that. And and I'm not talking from one side or the other. I'm just talking about, hey, I like it if it can help people who don't have insurance get what they need to stay healthy. That helps all of us, right? And so I think that's great. But for most people, it's looking at that max out of pocket. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Now I just want the government to do Bow Wow RX, so that I can get drugs for my sick dog at a discount, because man, talk about a racket.
Dan, don't get me. That's a
Save
whole.
it, Tony. Save it for another
I
show.
got a
We'll
rant
just-
on pet insurance and pet costs.
I think we just came up with our next show, Tony.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thanks again for a good show. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.